Welcome to episode 184 of the Pharmacist's Voice podcast. I'm the host, Kim Newlove. This is one of my drug name pronunciation episodes, and I love these. Today, we are talking about Phenytoin and Isotretinoin. These are both non-proprietary or generic drug names. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. In my pronunciation episodes, I break down drug names into syllables, explain which syllable or syllables have the emphasis, reveal the source of the information, and put the written pronunciations in the show notes so you can see them and use them right away. Let's dig in. Phenytoin is an anticonvulsant medication, generic for Dilantin, and isotretinoin, which is generic for Accutane, treats severe nodular acne that is unresponsive to other treatments. Sidebar here, my 17-year-old son Derek is on isotretinoin right now. He just started, and I chose the drug name isotretinoin in honor of him. You'll have to tune in for my fall update episode later this month. This is November 2022 to hear more about his experience with isotretinoin. I think it's going well as a mom and an observer, but I'm not really sure if it may be causing some impulsive behavior. That's right, I said impulsive behavior. What do I mean by impulsive behavior? Here's a quick example. Last weekend, Halloween weekend, he won the Carolina Reaper wing eating contest at our local Buffalo Wild Wings restaurant. That's some hot stuff. I think it's officially called the Blazing Wing Challenge or something like that. I wasn't there. He went with like a dozen of his buddies from the cross-country team. He ate 10 Carolina Reaper flavored wings in less than 5 minutes. That was the contest rules. 10 wings, less than 5 minutes. I think he did it in 4 minutes, 52 seconds. I am not sure if that's normal teenage boy stuff or is that impulsive behavior. Thousands of other people across the United States do this wing challenge every year, so I guess it could be a normal thing to do. This is not something he's ever done. Kids do things when their friends are around. Definitely not my idea of a fun challenge, but hey, teenage boys, right? Now, if you are a pharmacist, you know that Accutane comes with a laundry list of warnings, including impulsive behavior. That's why they have the I pledge system, right? Now, as a mom, I just can't help being on high alert. More on all this in the November fall update for the Pharmacist's Voice podcast. Sidebar over. Now let's talk about these two completely different medications, Phenytoin and Isotretinoin. I paired them together in this episode because the last syllable of both drugs ends in O-I-N, oin. Phenytoin, isotretinoin. Pairing them together might help you remember how to pronounce them both. Let's start with Phenytoin. Phenytoin has 3 syllables. The first syllable, fen, gets the emphasis. That means that you say fen with a little more force than the other syllables. See if you can hear it when I say it slowly. Phenytoin. Phenytoin. How did I find the pronunciation of Phenytoin? Great question. I looked it up in my favorite reference for generic drug names. It is called the USP Dictionary Online. It is a subscription-based resource. It is not free, and there's a link to it in the show notes. The written pronunciation of Phenytoin is also in the show notes. Check that out. Phenytoin is the only pronunciation given in the USP Dictionary Online. I know I did another episode earlier in the year where metoprolol had like 3 pronunciations. Phenytoin only has 1, but I often hear Phenytoin pronounced as Phenytoin or Phenytoin. And before I learned the dictionary-based pronunciation, I'll admit, I used to call it Phenytoin or Phenytoin. Neither is technically correct. Oops. Live and learn and then get it right. Now, the trickiest parts of pronouncing drug names, just in general, is knowing how to divide the syllables, where the emphasis is, and how to pronounce the vowels. The USP Dictionary divides Phenytoin into 3 syllables, shows that the first syllable gets the emphasis, and provides a pronunciation guide for the consonants and the vowels. It's very handy. pronunciation guides are often the key to pronouncing things correctly. Now, the pronunciation guide is how I know that the E in fen is a short E, and the Y in the middle of the word is a short I sound, and that last syllable, Toin or toyn, is pronounced like the word toy with the letter N at the end. Toyn. The USB Dictionary Online makes it easy peasy to pronounce drug names, my opinion. Now, quick disclaimer, I know I love the USP Dictionary Online, but I do not work for USP and I am not compensated for mentioning the dictionary on my podcast. Hey, I'm just a happy customer trying to share a resource that I use and trust. Speaking of trust, as a reminder, there is a lot of misinformation online. If you go to YouTube, for example, for your drug name pronunciations, you will get more than one pronunciation, and you'll have to guess which is the right one. Now, if you're a voice actor listening to this, always sort out your pronunciations with your director before you hit record so you can avoid redoing your project because you pronounced something wrong. That's always a bad feeling and it wastes your time. Along the same lines, if you're a pharmacist or a pharmacy student who's prepping for a public speaking opportunity and you use the wrong pronunciation, your audience may question your authority and you may not earn their trust. Hard to hear, but true. Bottom line, avoid the misinformation, research trustworthy resources, ask if you need some help, and get it right. It's as easy as that. Now let's move on to our second drug name, isotretinoin. Isotretinoin has 5 syllables. The first syllable, I, in isotretinoin gets the secondary emphasis. What does that mean? It means you emphasize I, but not as much as you emphasize the third syllable, which is tret. See if you can hear the emphasis on I and tret. Isotretinoin. Isotretinoin. How did I find the pronunciation of isotretinoin? You guessed it, the USP Dictionary Online. This is another generic drug name, so it's in the dictionary. Although I have heard phenytoin pronounced several ways, like we talked about earlier, I have never heard other pronunciations for isotretinoin. What does that mean? It means, for some reason, everyone pretty much says isotretinoin the correct way. Why is that important? For the purpose of this episode, it is my hope that pairing isotretinoin with phenytoin will help you feel more confident with both pronunciations. Because if you can say isotretinoin, you can say phenytoin. The written pronunciation of isotretinoin is also in the show notes. If you're new to these pronunciation episodes, the purpose of these pronunciation episodes is to provide the intended pronunciations of drug names from reliable sources so that you feel confident saying them and less frustrated learning them. I hope this episode has helped you. That's all I've got for you this week. Thank you for listening to episode 184 of the Pharmacist's Voice podcast. Please visit thepharmacistvoice.com to read the show notes. To find the show notes, just click on the podcast tab on the website and search for episode 184. You can find the written pronunciations of phenytoin and isotretinoin in the show notes, along with a link to the USP Dictionary Online and, just for fun, the Buffalo Wild Wings Carolina Reaper Wing Challenge link. And as always, my social media links are in the show notes. Let's connect. Join me next week for an interview with a very special pharmacist in honor of Veterans Day 2022. Thanks for listening today. I'll talk to you next week.